Hello everyone, welcoming you to this session to discuss about interprocessor arbitration. So in the previous session we have discussed the various interconnection structures and we have discussed that all these common structures are to be shared by multiple processes, and whenever sharing is going to happen always there will be a conflict that who is going to use the common media. So how this arbitration is going to happen, that's what will be discussed in this session. And interprocessor arbitration can be provided by either means of single bus system or by multiple bus system, or it can also be done by data transfer method. So we are going to approach this particular topic under three categories. So if it is going to be a single bus system, how this address bus, data bus and control bus are going to be made use. And in case of multiple bus system, how the memory bus is going to make connection between the different processes, and are this memory going to be shared or it is going to be distributed. And then how this IO bus will connect the local structure, and then how it will be connected with the common structure by means of system bus. Of course, this diagram can be seen in detail in this screen. The bus arbitration logic will decide how this arbitration is going to happen. So, whenever a common resource is going to be shared by multiple units, who is going to share? And who is going to use, how long it is going to use, and how it will be controlled, all these things has to be decided by some common procedure, and for that purpose we are going to make use of the bus arbitration algorithm. So this algorithm, as pointed out here, it can be static or it can be dynamic. So what we mean by static? Static means something which is fixed. So what is fixed here? The priority is going to be fixed. So if you just observe this diagram, we have so many devices and they are going to be arranged in the priority order. The first device will be enjoying the highest priority, and then the next, and then the next, like that we will be arranging in the decreasing priority order. Now there is a common bus here, this is the common bus, and this is otherwise referred as bus busy line. So whenever this bus busy line is high or active, it means that some process is making use of the bus system. So if at all another processor wants to use the same resource, then it has to wait because the bus is busy. So it has to wait till the bus is idle. Okay, so that is indicated by this bus busy line. Whenever the line is high, it means that some processor is making use of the bus for its own data transfer purpose. So if another device wants to make use of the bus, it has to wait till the busy line goes low. And the bus arbitration logic, it can be classified into two categories, broad categories, mainly static and dynamic. So we have so many devices. If these devices are going to be having the priority in the fixed order, it comes under the static nature. So if you just observe here, it is going to look like a daisy chain arbitration. Why? Because the first one will be always enjoying the highest priority, and if the first device wants to use the bus, it will activate the high line, and the arbiter will give control to this device, and it will be making use of the bus. Once it has completed its activity, then it is like a kind of a token system, so it will be passed on to the next device, and only if the first device which is enjoying the highest priority is no more in need of the bus structure, it will be granted to the next device in the priority order. And now if this device wants to use the bus, it will make use of it by again incrementing the busy line, otherwise highlighting the making the busy line high, or if it is not required, it will pass on the token to the next one. So like this the priority will be switched from one device to another device in a particular order, and this order of ordering of the devices based on the priority seems to be looking like a daisy chain, and hence this arrangement is called as daisy chain arbitration. And this is going to happen in a serial fashion, so it is otherwise referred as serial daisy chain arbitration. The any device which is in the highest priority is always going to enjoy the highest priority, and sometimes it may lead to starvation. So the one which is in the lower priority will be getting the chance only if all the other high priority devices are giving the chance to this particular device. So this is what we mean by static priority bus arbitration algorithm. Coming to the dynamic priority, as the name implies, the priority of the devices is going to change. I am not going to fix the priority of this. How this can be done? Here, what I can do, I can connect the last device to the first one. So if this connection is going to be made as a rotating pattern, it is going to be referred as the rotating daisy chain. So what will happen here? If this is going to have the highest priority for this turn, obviously it has to give the priority to the next device. So this will be enjoying the highest priority for the next slot. So like that, each device will be having the priority, and this priority is not going to be fixed. It is going to be rotated in the form of a daisy chain, because we connect the last device to the first device, and there is no more concept of having the first device in the highest priority and the last device as the lowest priority. Whichever is having the token for that particular period of time, that will be enjoying the highest priority. Once it has completed, it will hand over the control to the next device. So likewise, the priority is going to be altered among the devices in a rotating fashion, and hence it is called as rotating or round robin daisy chain priority mechanism. And another different type of mechanisms available here are time slice mechanism, polling, LRU, and FIFO. So coming to this time slice mechanism, each device in the which needs to share the common bus structure, each device will be assigned with a particular time slice, and this is going to be a fixed length time, and during that time that particular device alone will make use of it. If a particular device don't want to use a time quantum, it is going to be simply wasted. It is not going to be engaged with the next device. That is going to be the drawback of this. Or we can make an alteration in such a way that if a device doesn't want to make use of its quantum, it can pass on the control to the other device. So both type of arrangements could be there. That's what will happen in the time slice system. Coming to the polling method, so in the polling method, what will happen? There will be a kind of an arbiter which will keep checking with each device whether you want to share the bus or not. It will we will be polling one by one, and each device will be checked for the requirement. If it is requiring the bus arrangement, then it will be given grant. Otherwise, it will move on and continue to check with the next device. So there will be a common arbiter which keeps checking each device and whether you need the bus or not. If they need the bus, it will grant the bus, and it will activate the bus busy line. And if the device releases the bus, then it will be passed on to the next device. So by polling, by checking one by one, the bus will be granted to the one which needs, or it will not be granted to that particular device. So polling mechanism obviously needs a kind of an arbiter or a kind of a controller sort of arrangement which has to check the requirement of each device. Then coming to this LRU, that is least recently used. So whichever device has least recently used, that device will be given higher priority. Like this, we have different scheduling policies based on which we will be assigning priority in a flexible manner, and so it comes into the category dynamic priority scheduling, dynamic priority flexibility. And first in first out, as the name implies, the what device which enters this request in the first one, it will be maintaining a queue, and as and when a device initiates a request, that will be maintained in the queue, and the queue will be served in the first in first out order. So whenever a device wants to make use of the buses, it will automatically enter into the queue, and from one end of the queue the devices will be getting the chances one by one. And this completes this dynamic priority. So as such, we have discussed the bus arbitration algorithm having two types, static and dynamic. And in static, we will be having the priority fixed, and the best example for this category will be the serial daisy chain arbitration, which is shown in this figure. And the next category is going to be the dynamic, where we make the priority flexible. How it is made flexible? Either by giving the times quantum for each one in a round robin fashion, or by means of polling method, where the arbiter will be polling the device by device, and it will be making the priority changing across the devices, and the least recently used will be enjoying the highest priority. It need not be always LRU, it can be even MRU also, it depends on the application and the requirement. Then comes FIFO, where the devices which needs a common shared bus will make a request, and it will add itself into the queue, and the queue will be serviced in one order. And then the last one is a rotating daisy chain, where we will connect the last device in the daisy chain to the first device, and by means of connecting this, we are not fixing the priority. The priority is getting rotated across the daisy chain. So we have different bus arbitration logic to take care of this procedure, and as a continuation of this, we will just see how actually the arbitration logic is going to resolve the bus conflict. So we will be having two methods as mentioned in the previous diagram. One is called a serial arbitration procedure, another one is called as the parallel arbitration procedure. So in the serial arbitration procedure, it will be checked one by one. So that I think we will discuss with this diagram. So that same diagram we have already discussed. So the it will check the highest priority device. If it needs, it will, the arbiter will give the control to this device. Otherwise it will pass on the control to the next like that. So if it is going to be arranged in this serial fashion, and if the arbitration procedure is going to be invoked one by one in a serial order, then it is coming under this category, serial arbitration. Whereas in the parallel arbitration logic, we have all the bus arbiters arranged in one form, and then we have the priority encoder and the 2 by 4 decoder. So we have the bus busy lane. So which device has to use the bus and for how long it has to be used has to be decided by the bus arbiter, and this arbitration logic is going to be operated in a parallel fashion, and so only it is called as parallel arbitration logic. For this purpose, we also make use of an 4 by T priority encoder and a 2 by 4 decoder to resolve this purpose. So each bus arbiter will have some request, and it will receive the request, and based on the arbitration logic, it will decide whether to give the control or not. If it decides to give the control, it will activate the bus busy line, and after completion, this will be receiving the acknowledgement by which it will withdraw the request. So this is going to be the procedure that is going to be adopted for parallel arbitration logic. And as already I have discussed, dynamic arbitration algorithms can be categorized based on the parameter used for deciding the priority. Is it going to be a time slice assigned for each quantum, for each device, or it is going to be a polling procedure where the arbiter is going to check one by one, and then the LRU, it is based on the time whether it is recently used or not used, and then the FIFA also, the entry time, the first which is entered for the request, it will be put up in the queue, and the queue will be served. And then we have the rotating daisy chain where the last device will be connected to the first, and thereby we are just making the priority also to rotate. So this is going to be the discussion for the synchronization, the communication procedure. And with the various processor in the multiprocess system has to communicate with each other. That is going to be an important activity. For communicating only, we are going to make use of either the shared resource or a dedicated resource, and this communication can happen by initiating the request, or it can be done by means of passing on the messages. So we can have separate procedures to deal with the communication process. It can be making use of the mailbox facility also. The status bits will reside in the common memory, by which we will be able to appreciate the status of each device, whether they need to use the resource or not to use. And the receiving processor can check the mailbox periodically, and then the response time of this procedure can also be a time consuming activity. So it is going to rarely be adopted. A more efficient procedure for sending the processor an alert message is by means of raising the interrupt signal. So this is going to be an efficient procedure, because in polling it will be wasting its time and keep on checking the status of the device. Whereas if it is going to be an interrupt initiated, the device which wants to make use of this common mechanism or sharing mechanism, that will initiate an interrupt, and upon receipt of the interrupt, it can be handled. And there could be a conflict also among these resources, and how this conflict is going to be resolved, it will be taken care by the operating system. And there are a general, in multiprocessor setup, there can be master slave configuration, or it can be a separate operating system or distributed operating system to decide all this multiprocessor setup. And in the master slave mode, one processor will always act as a master and execute the operating system function, and the slave will be controlled by this master. And if it is going to be dedicated separate processor system organization, each processor can execute the operating system routine whatever it requires. And in the case of distributed operating system organization, the operating system routines are distributed among the available processors, and however each particular operating system function is assigned only to one processor at a time, and hence it is always referred as floating point operating system. So coming to the loosely coupled system, we have no shared memory for passing the information. As we already discussed, if the memory is going to be shared, it comes under the category of tightly coupled. And if each process is going to have its own local memory, then it is going to be called as loosely coupled system. So there is no shared memory for passing the information, and hence the communication between the processor, how it is going to happen, it is always done by means of passing the message, and this message will be passed through IO channels. And whenever communication is going to be done by passing the messages, then who is going to initiate the message passing mechanism? That is going to be an important activity, and usually the master will initiate the process. And the communication is going to be efficiently done by means of adopting appropriate routing protocol, and the processor speed, the data link speed, and all the topology of the network altogether will decide the communication speed or the efficiency of the interprocessor network. So this completes a discussion of the loosely coupled system, and also the arbitration logic, how it is going to be carried out in the sequential fashion and also in the parallel fashion, and in within which we are going to further classify as a static procedure or as a dynamic procedure. So as a continuation of this topic, we will just discuss how the synchronization is going to happen in interprocess communication mechanism. Thank you.